All right, welcome back to Daybreak. Of course, you're continuing with the conversation here with David Osiani, governance analyst, Senator Mithika Linturi from Meru County, David Ocheng, Member of Parliament for Ugenya, and Anthony Oluoch from Mathare constituency. My name is Sam.
And my name is Zinzi Kibiko.
Yes, and we now want to transition to remembering one of the most arguably one of the most courageous cancer warriors, of course, Ken Okoth, the Member of Parliament for Kibra, who passed on Friday. We want to remember him as we recall a story that was done on Friday as Starehe Boys Center, the school that he went to, was marking its 60 years, and they had something to say in regards to the fallen Member of Parliament.
On this year's Founders' Day at the Starehe Boys Center, the late Honorable Ken Okoth was scheduled to give a talk as part of an alumni program. Instead, there was a moment of silence for him.
May the Lord rest their souls in eternal peace. He is a sponsor of a number of boys here. He carried with him that spirit of service to Kibra.
Okoth, who was born and raised in the sprawling slums of Kibera, scored an impressive 613 out of 700 marks in the 1991 KCPE as a student of the Olympic Primary School. He joined the Starehe Boys Center as a scholarship beneficiary, and it is here that the alumni say he embodied the path of duty as the way to glory.
We're very proud of the record that he had in terms of helping his people. He told us, you guys, take care of your wives. Take care of your wives, because you may have a lot of money for treatment, but without a support system from your wives and other family members, it's very unlikely you will pull through.
The Mbagathi High School is arguably the most visible marker of Ken Okoth's legacy here in Kibra, Nairobi. It was built at the cost of 48.2 million shillings, funded by the NGCDF. Ken Okoth spoke passionately about education. There have been calls to rename the Mbagathi High School the Ken Okoth High School, and also a commitment to complete the Kibra High School, another school project Okoth was working on. In January, Okoth's big dream as part of his resolutions was to plan for the opening of a specialized selective preparatory academy for talented, high-potential boys and girls in Kibra. In Kibra, flags flew half-mast. The grief is still overwhelming. His family is making burial arrangements and has requested for privacy as they grieve ahead of an official announcement.
Sijui watoto watakuaje Kibira. Tuko na huzuni sana.
Ukiambiwa tufanye hivi tufanye. Kwa hivyo hatutaki fujo kwa matanga ya Ken.
Okoth described himself as an educator, humanist, cancer warrior and builder, determined not to give up. Ronnie Osumba, an Olympic Primary and Starehe alumni, who was deeply close to him, also wrote in a heartfelt tribute, God is pleased, Griffin is accomplished, your mom is proud, Monica is complete. Dorcas Wangera, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
All right, that's Dorcas Wangera, of course, with that story on the day that Ken Okoth would have been expected to address the Starehe Boys Center. Just want to take, first of all, your reactions to the kind of work that he did, even as you remember him at a personal level. We begin with you, Sian.
I think in a country where increasingly the younger leaders have been accused of not measuring up to standards of the years, or leaders of the years of yore, Ken demonstrated a very rare spectacle of sobriety, consistency, a level of liberal-mindedness that is necessary sometimes for growth. Ken, I bet because of his experience, having been brought up in Kibera, understood the various vicissitudes of life in that place, and he led them with that understanding and that hindsight. And Ken was, a fusion of many good things together, quite a consistent leader. Ken gave himself, I love how he identified education as one of his biggest things. You don't spread yourself too thin. Just like his predecessor had worked on infrastructure development in Kibera, Ken picked out education as his main thing, and he did whatever he could. He used and utilized his networks that he acquired while on scholarship in the US, in Denmark, Austria, and all those other places for the good of the people of Kibra. And so the loss of Ken leaves us, with a void. It leaves this country empty of one young leader who was emulable in every way. You know, I keep saying that this is a country that does not appreciate young people. And Uhuru Kenyatta said the other day, but all these young people we see, when we give them opportunities, they all become looters. And I tell him, no, no, no. But this was the country where Mboya was a minister at 33 and Kibaki at 35. And, you know, David Musila was a provincial commissioner at 29. Young people can still make it. And Ken was that example that disapproves that young people are all corrupt, and that some of these problems we have are systemic. They are in the old as they are in the young. We have brilliant young leaders like Anthony and Ochieng here, who, just like Ken and many others, show us that it is possible. It is possible to lead and lead right. It is possible to be visionary, to stay focused, and not be populist, and still achieve and get things done.
Senator, how do we remember him? As a nation, as a people of Kibra, what's the best way to remember a leader such as Ken Okoth?
I would personally want to say that I've lost a friend. I knew Ken at a personal level, and we interacted a number of times. One, we used to share the same platform on a TV show, AM Live, together in the morning. But I will tell you, without fear of contradiction, this is a guy that had the passion for education. Is a guy who most of the time thought on how to improve the livelihoods of the people of Kibra. I went with him in South Korea for some workshop in Korea, and whenever, and we interacted with the people in Korea, and especially in one technological institute where we are trying to study on how to improve Konza, or what to bring in about in Kenya through in terms of technology and advancement. Ken was so passionate that he would even plead that when these people come, or whether they would be able to accommodate the people of Kibera in their programs and give them a site where to do one of the stations they were supposed to come here. So he's somebody that I saw and all the best intentions for the people of Kibera, where his debates were very objective. We will miss him as a country.
Honorable Chair.
Hey, no, I knew Ken so well. I tell you something that I'm just wondering whether it's a dream that is going to go away. Ken was a personal friend. The one thing I want us to learn from Ken, if we don't take anything from his life, is something called focus. 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 Being able to say, this is what I want to do, and don't get distracted. If you know the noise and din within which Ken was working, if you know the frustrations, both politically and you know, you knew his constituency, Ken did what he did because Ken had this laser focus on what he wanted to do. I remember I started Ken in constituency in Uganda in 2013. Just 4 months after elections, we came up with something called, we wanted to remove the old guard from the ODM leadership. And so we had this rally, and Ken was upbeat, and then we came back to Nairobi, and we were being asked why we want to remove the old. Ken said, no, you know, I think there's a way in which you need to allow us to do politics the way we want. And Ken is only MP by the way you came back to Parliament. Out of the 12 of us who are rebels. You know,
now you agree you are a rebel.
You are. I mean, you know, I left ODM just yes, after being them rebels and all this. And he's the only person who came back. Largely because I believe because of his focus to his people. I'm probably the second one was come back, but midway after a big fight. And so I would want Ken to be remembered as a person who believed in good things and good deeds. You've just heard him say that. You know, Ken was not someone who is, you know, complicated. Ken was so simple. Ken was this guy who is white when it's white, is red when it's red. There's no gray area about Ken's way of doing things. And I would want us to also learn from Ken's life the fact that it doesn't matter where you come from. As long as you set your North Pole right, as long as you set your goals right, it doesn't matter whether you went to school reading using a Koroboi, it doesn't matter your background. As long as you're focused and you decided this is what you want to do, I'm sure you can achieve. And I want all young people in this country to learn from Ken's life. I'm so sorry he's died so soon. And something that I think we discussed with Ken, and something that I want to also advise all of us, especially young people, Ken is older than by like 2 years only, is let us eat right, let us exercise. Let us just know that this life is not there for all of us all the time.
Right.
Do whatever you can do in the time that you have.
Yeah. We'll get back to speaking about Ken, the politician. But first, Anthony Oloch, you come from Nairobi, just like Ken did. And I think I saw you together with him sometime not so long ago. Personally, how do you remember him in the work that he did for Nairobians, which is quite a diverse county, to be a member of parliament?
Yeah, first of all, my condolences to the people of Kibra. It's not very easy to lose a person of this age. Usually my people usually say that all people should live to be buried by their children, but looking at a situation where more and more we are burying people at a very tender age. I'm trying to compare people like Tom Boyer, who died at very tender age with a lot of vision, and there was still so much that people expected from him. And we look at Kibra and the loss that they have as our loss and the loss for the entire nation. What I like to remember him for are two things. One is one that is very controversial, which I'll speak to just after this. The second is the passion and the consistency. And I think for young people, that's one thing that we don't have. As young politicians coming, I'm probably 12 years older than him, but in terms of having trailblazed ahead of us, I think it's given us the example that as young people, you can go in there and you can make that change if only you can have two things. One, I think, is a consistency, because Ken was very consistent about what he felt. It didn't matter what everybody else around Ken was thinking. I think he had the ability to speak his mind and to do so without being divisive, and I think that's very important. Where we came in at a time when we were very polarized in terms of our politics, and things were either gray or white, and you had to take extreme positions. Ken consistently had the ability of going through this path without being controversial, without stepping on people's toes, but at the same time still making the same points that me and Osianyo him would say, by throwing barbs and saying, you know, you wake up in the morning, and me and Babu like to joke that before the handshake, the first thing you did when you took the microphone was and Ken Okoth would come and say the same thing and not abuse anyone. We shared platforms with him during the resist movement.
Right.
And he was very consistent in his messaging. That's one thing. And then the second thing is about passion.
Right.
I think he had a passion for education that is unparalleled. And within the one term that he's been there, I think you have seen the things that he has done. He has built 2 big schools that we will live to remember him for. And there are lots of people who probably end up will have a chance at life like he did from Kibra because of the vision and the passion and dedication he had. Lastly, is one bit that is a bit controversial. And if for no other reason, if we want to secure Ken's legacy in Parliament, let's give that legislation priority. We may not agree with everything that he has put into it.
Which is?
But he
is that the bill of legalizing marijuana?
Legalizing
and I was coming to that, yes. And you know, Honorable Cheng, you talked about how Ken Okoth would love us to be healthy, eat well, and exercise. But one of the bills that he had, he even wrote to the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, was the legalization of marijuana for medical purposes, and how to also create economic factors.
Yes.
Do you think that we'll see a time when this bill, his dream, will come to pass?
I think we need to give it a chance, because I've read that bill, and among other things other than the economic value, and there are people who've done this for economic value, there is the medical aspect of it, which is very crucial. And I think he was doing that bill against the background of what he was going through as a person. How we can use this medically to try and mitigate and kind of bring down the kind of suffering that people who go through cancer have to go through.
Right.
I don't know whether perhaps it would have been better for Ken not to have known the diagnosis, because look at Ken like 2 years back before he knew about the diagnosis. Very robust, very healthy, and then having to go through chemo and all these radiology things. I don't know if at some point he was thinking, if we had legalized marijuana, a lot of people who probably have to go through this would probably have prescriptions where they would be able to deal with the harsh reality of having to go through chemo. I have a father who's going through chemo, and let me tell you, There are days when after coming, he comes to my house and he stays there every once a month for a weekend. When he goes back, my mom has to call us and say, please call your dad and talk through him. The emotion, the turbulence, the things that you have to go through just so that you have the after effects are crazy.
Okay.
They're very crazy.
All right, we'll get to all that because we need to take a short break. But let's take a look at what you've been saying on Twitter at Citizen TV Kenya, at Samgituko, at Zinzi_K with the hashtag Daybreak. As you remember, Ken Okoth, if you can take a look at that. On what you're saying, this is Engineer Lazaro. Ugonjwa sugu cancer has robbed us a very sober debater and development conscious man. It is high time developing countries should call a spade, declare cancer a national disaster, call for help from the WHO. We need urgent reaction.
Let's take a look at Twitter. Still there. Steve, you say we lost a true definition of a member of parliament, down to earth, focused, and someone who could give anyone else individual attention, something the current MPs will not easily do. Surely, death is inevitable. May his soul rest in peace.
All right, so that's what you've been saying. You can keep tweeting us at Citizen TV Kenya, Samgituko at Zinzi_K, or you can text us at 22422. We'll be sampling some of your feedback later on. But now we take a break with what
Ken Okoth had said. This is around February 2018 last year. You've had a lot of people here saying that he was so big when it comes to education, especially for residents of Kibra. This is what he had to say when he was at Mbagathi High School last year in 2018.
I am very proud. I feel relieved that we have reached this stage. We're inviting people to adopt a classroom because you saw we have 12 classrooms and we don't have the desks for them. A desk and a chair is only 3,000 shillings. If you adopt a classroom of 40 desks, that's only 120,000 shillings. If you can get some friends, so let us adopt a classroom or half a classroom and make sure that the young people who come to this school watajaza shule, and they'll have the classrooms they need and the desks will be there for the learning to continue.
Our parents, talk to your children, educate them, right? Because the school can only do so much. We have a role to play as parents.
This is the day that the Lord has made, We will rejoice and be glad in it and be. Yes, I rejoice and I feel glad on this day. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day.